Hello everybody, and welcome to My Hero Academia, chapter number 370 review. This chapter is titled History. Now last time in the My Hero Academia universe, in chapter number 369, what ended up happening was Deku, we got some more insight about the transmission quirk. Deku and Shigaraki did some stuff, until eventually Spinner came up and was getting ready to raid the Central Hospital. And we started off this chapter in a somewhat similar way that we did last time, right? We get sort of backstory that we've known about of Spinner for this entire series. We get these pages where he's just, or this first page really, is just he's being yelled at like, "Die, monster, stay inside your house, you Hedomorph freak. So you brought dirty blood here. You tricked us. The land became filthy and defiled. Go, get out. No matter how much society progresses, we'll never accept your kind." As we see that Spinner has taken like some quirk enhancing drugs and it's like steroids pretty much, and he is just big and massive, right? And we get a bunch of narration pretty much going, turning back the clock a bit to just after the battlefields received word of Dobby's death. Not Dobby's death, Dobby's defeat, because of course Dobby's back up here in the current story, right? In front of Central Hospital, Kurogiri, the closest thing to a masterpiece out of all of the high-end Nomu series. All for One learned that he was in a hospital, and Spinner was sent with a army of the Petronormal Liberation Front and of all of the dregs, right? As well as some ordinary citizens who are Hedomorphs who sympathize with the cause of the whole Shigaraki Spinner stuff, right? We're with what Spinner's going through as a Hedomorph, right? And it says in total, about a force of 15,000 was dispatched, right? That's a bunch of people to go and like attack a hospital, like a lot of people, right? They were there to fight some of the remaining heroes and police guards, but these heroes are only about 200 strong, right? And we see that President Mike's there, and he's thinking, like, who knew you were such a popular guy, Shirakumo, as he ends up using one of his moves, Out Loud Shout, right? But what we see happens is some of these Hedomorphs form like a meat shield to protect some others, right? And we see that one with like a sword or a trident-looking thing is coming to attack President Mike. We see that Koda is here, being that he is a Hedomorph also, right? And he sends some crows to go and help pick up President Mike so he's not getting really defeated, right? President Mike's just like, "Hey, thanks, Anima." And he's like, "Where's Tentacle?" And Anima says, "We got split up into chaos," right? And we pretty much get some insight on the police guys. We see this monkey police officer that we've seen before, sort of being that all of the police officers are animals in some way, right? And they're like, "Squad leader, there's too many of them, we need backup." And the monkey dude's just like, "Well, we ain't getting any. Push back with those taser shields." As everybody's just like, "Oh no, this is really bad. We're so short-handed," and they're personally trying to isolate us heroes, right? We see Rocklock, who's also here, and Rocklock has just been being taken on, and he's like, "These punks are way too organized for a patch of random mobsters," right? And at this point, all of these Hedomorphs are just like, "Shut up, you, tie him up, enough out of you, we ain't robbers, we get his hands, we're fine. Folks with whom human faces just don't get it," right? As they're all just attacking, and a bunch of them come after Koda and shove Koda down to the ground. And the thing is that one of these Hedomorphs is just attacking Koda, as Koda's just like, "Stop this, why are you doing this? Please stop." As this Hedomorph who's on top of him, like, "Raised in a big city, were ya? You're a traitor to your kind," right? Being that Koda has this sort of Hedomorph face, right? And at this point, we see the dude in like this, not sort of like spider mask, but I don't know what it really is, right? We'll find out here in a second that he's the mandible dude, right? But he's got the whole head on thing and the mandibles coming out of his back, and he's just on top of the Central Hospital, and he's just yelling, Rage, good citizens. Today is our independence. Quirk counseling, quirk education, nothing but phony nonsense, all of it. We all know this well because of the forms we bear. The 6-6 incident, the Great Jeddah Purge, the history of the paranormal is one of persecution and oppression for those who don't fit the mold. And what excuse was offered to us in the slaughter of our kind? They gave me the creeps, they say, swelling it all under the rug. These days, society has reflected and made amends, or so they would have you believe. Sure, in dense cities, the populace raised in diverse melting pot, where through wonders of education, discrimination is a thing of the past. But take a look beyond cities. What do they still say there? You give me the creeps, right? And there's more of this speech as just, I'm pretty sure this guy was named Mandible, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that, but I'm pretty sure he was one of the few characters that we got highlighted a little while ago in a few chapters, right? Pretty much saying, okay, here are some other villains that we're going to have to face, right? Like the one that Ashida is going to have to face off of, and just that stuff right there, right? And we continue this guy's speech as he takes off his mask, and we see that he is a this has got a really cool design. He's got like this bug sort of thing, right? And he continues on. Not even the brightest light can illuminate every corner of society. That light never shone upon those here today. We must find our own light in this world. If I were only born looking like this with that quirk, have you people ever thought that once? No, you people are no heroes of ours. Instead, it will be him who leads us to prominence in society. As we see a bunch of these heroes who are just like, just trying to stay as they can, as we see like a bunch of people yelling like, make way, we don't need you, let him through, let's win this, as we see a flag of Spinner, one that we've seen before, and it's like, just got a picture of Spinner on it. It's Spinner speaks for us, as we see Spinner in his sort of monster form just walking around. Fun note, here he actually has the Blade of Thousand Swords again, right? This was something that came out in the first arc and got destroyed very quickly. And I remember Horikoshi having something to say about this, like, he's never going to draw it again because it took so long to draw. And I just find it interesting that it's here again, right? Granted, it's not like, I think it was a full page spread last time in which we saw it, and it's not that here, but it's still here, right? But we see that Spinner is like drooling, right? And he's got this sort of thing where he's like, don't know what he's saying. Ever since All for One gave me power, head getting fuzzier, right? As we see that Spinner isn't really coherent. He's just sort of a one-track mind to mess some stuff up, right? The Mandible dude, I'll try to get his name down for next time, because I don't... Well, let's see. I'm going to go through some My Hero chapters and see if I can't find what this dude's name is. I'll cut back here in a few seconds with what I have found. Alright, so after looking at about, I don't know, let's just say a bunch of My Hero chapters, I couldn't find the instance I was talking about. So I'm just going to continue to call the dude Mandible. And the day that isn't right, oops, I'm glad you listened to this episode so you know. So pretty much what has happened was Spinner was all wonky, right? And now he is like, I will now do whatever I am told to do. As he's like, take back Korogiri. As, of course, Shoji comes up. And Shoji uses an Octo Blow to just wreck Spinner here, right? And as this happens, Mandible dude looks down, and a bunch of these people are like, a Spinner, our rep, how freaking dare you? Kill the traitor, clash with the wannabe hero, right? And everybody's like, die, monster, as they all go to get hands on Tentacle or Shoji. And Shoji is just like, what's any of that got to do with attacking the hospital? Back into Jakku, the first things the heroes did was take action to make sure the patients were safe. What about you guys? Go on and tell me, do you have a plan here? And we look back to where, in the past, Shoji was discriminated too, with that same line. no matter how much society progresses, will never accept you and your kind. As Shoji starts to yell as Shigaraki gets back up, right? And he slams everybody off him. He's like, you better, because if not, I won't let this stand, talking about the plan, right? And that's where the chapter ends. So, I have a lot that I want to note about this chapter. So, first off, I love this moment with Shoji at the end. He actually has shown his mouth for the first time, and yeah, he is a heteromorph, and we see in every other place he covers up his mouth because he is a heteromorph, and he has been discriminated the same way the rest of these guys have. He is prioritizing the people first, and that's just a really nice thing to do, and it just works really well for the series as a whole. I mean, it's just really good. And eventually we get to stuff with Rocklock, because it's a sort of thing where here where I am from in the United States, there is a big thing of racism and ties like that. And it's obvious that Horikoshi is trying to add that into his story, right? But the way he does it is he uses and he puts the aggression against the one My Hero character who I can really think of that is a black or from African American descent, right? And it's just a little bit weird that he has done it in this way, using him as the one who is being called sort of a normal person with a human face. It's a little bit in bad taste there, but overall, the big part of this is Shoji's moment at the end of, I'm gonna wreck you guys if you guys don't have a plan. But if you guys have a plan and are just protesting here and are not going to screw up all the heroes in the police department, sure. But what you're planning to do is mess everything up, and I won't let that stand. It's just a really nice moment that really I can't be mad at. And I don't really have a whole lot to say. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, the name's Mandible. It will be Mandible. I don't care. It will be Mandible. It will really be Mandible. Alright, Glowplasma231 out.